Is there such a thing as work-life balance? Some people call it harmony. Others will point you towards balance. Are you someone that has blind spots? If you're anything like me, you probably do. And it's your blind spots that are holding you back from finding the balance that's going to bring you the harmony. You are going to absolutely love today's special guest. He is a modern day Renaissance man. He is a published author. He's a keynote speaker. He is a 30-year sales executive. And he's going to walk us through how we all can live a more balanced life. Check this out. They don't teach this shit in school, but they should. Welcome to the Loan Officer Podcast, hosted by me, Dustin Owen, one of the most influential people in the mortgage industry, along with my friends who've lived it, built it, failed at it, fixed it, and scaled it. This is not a show just for mortgage professionals. This is everything I learned because I became a mortgage loan originator. This is the Loan Officer Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus, you are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and a very special guest. This dude flew his happy butt all the way in from the Twin Cities. I'm talking Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. He's originally from Iowa. He's an Army veteran, 30-year mortgage professional, keynote speaker, 4th degree black belt in Taekwondo, and now a published author with his brand new book, Reimagining Balance, launching this month. He is my new friend. He is the one, the only, Shawn, just call me Mingus. Shawn Mingus, welcome to the Loan Officer Podcast.
That was really cool to hear that in person versus on YouTube.
Well, it's really cool to know that that's my shtick and that's my thing. And you got to watch how the sausage was made right now.
I'm loving it.
Yeah. So Shawn and I connected a couple months ago. We missed each other at a conference. We both were at the gathering. Somehow we didn't get a chance to really connect, but he hits me up on LinkedIn like I always ask you all to do. Like, hey, if you want to connect, first name Dustin, last name Owen. From there, I look him up. I'm like, well, wait a minute. This guy's like a modern day Renaissance man. He's pretty badass in his own right. Agree to take a meeting. That meeting, like most good meetings, wasn't a half hour. It was more like an hour and a half. From there, he's like, hey, what are you doing in August? I got a book coming out. I'd love to come down and talk about it on your show. And I have one rule, y'all. One rule, and Shawn checks every box. And it's funny, I'm calling him Shawn, but his friends call him Mingus. So I'm probably going to flip the script and just refer to you as Mingus going forward. But you can call him Shawn until he gives you permission to call him Mingus. But Mingus was like, hey, D.O., I want to come down and be on your show. And I'm like, I have one rule. It can't suck. It must be entertaining. It has to be something that the audience will want to listen to. And it has to be somewhat impactful. Well, I promise you, this is going to check all those boxes. So, Shawn, where do you want to get started? Like, welcome to TLOP.
Thank you.
What, talk to me a little bit for a second about the book. Give me your 30-second elevator pitch on Reimagining Balance, because ultimately that's what we want to leave the audience with. But let's tease them a little bit.
Yeah, love it, Dustin. Thank you for the opportunity. So we've all heard of the conversation work-life balance. It's been around for 30, 40 years. I believe that conversation is due for a rewrite. Our life is not made up of two dimensions, work and life, success and being present, desire and duty. It's just, life is much more complicated than that. Actually, I believe our life is made up of 8 dimensions. And so this book provides people with a very practical framework that they can evaluate those 8 dimensions in a way that will help them grow and achieve success in a way that's sustainable without sacrificing what matters most in life.
Yeah, in the book, you call it a polygon.
So we use a polygon. It's geometry. And I was mentioning earlier that I almost failed geometry in 10th grade. And believe it or not, and my wife warns me, I nerd out on this stuff, but geometry has been around 5,000 years, and it's been used to design the most beautiful buildings and bridges. Think about the pyramids, came from Egypt. And so we're using geometry to design a more beautiful life. And I use that term, we are designing our life. We're not allowing it to just happen. In fact, I think the largest room in the world is the space between the life that we drift into and the life that we intentionally design.
Say that again.
The largest room in the world is the space between the life that we just drift into, most of us, and the life that we intentionally design.
So your book is about helping us, the reader, have a more purposeful life that's lived by design.
That's beautifully said. Balance isn't just for balance sake. It's so that we can have more clarity in our life, and the more clarity we have less interpersonal conflict. Then our vision opens up, and it's something I uncovered when I was training for a world championship in martial arts in kata forms. And it was really understanding the physical aspects of balance. And I was training on something called a BOSU ball. You know what a BOSU ball is?
I do know what a BOSU ball is.
So I call it the BOSU effect. It's a ball you stand on that's half of a ball, and it forces you off balance. And I had to learn because opening moves in my form that I competed with, the first 18 moves, 6 of them are balance moves. And they're really meant for somebody in their 30s, not their 50s. I mean, you do a full side kick, and then you hold it out, and then another side kick and hold it out. And it's a balance at its finest. And so I learned that balance is about, when we're off balance, our vision is blurry. So if I stood you up and spun you around in circles, how would your vision be?
Blurry.
It would be blurry. So the more balanced we have, never perfect, balance is always about little intricate moves in our body, in our mind, and what's going on in life. It's very complicated. It's not about an end state. In fact, think about balance. It's a beautiful word because it's both a noun and it's a verb. But in this context, I want you to think about balance as a verb. It's an action. It's never a destination. And so balance is something that when we have more balance in our life, our vision is more clear and things come into focus. And what ends up coming into focus is we start seeing our purpose. That's the power.
Awesome. This is what we're going to be getting into. This is the book. This is how you're going to leave a legacy. This is I call it bonus time of your career, right?
Thank you.
For me, it's my fourth quarter. Right, the next 7 years is the fourth quarter. For you, it's like, I already won the game, but let's go ahead and give these guys and girls in the stands a friendly. Let's give them an extra quarter, an encore. And I'm excited about this for you. I'm excited about this for us. But I also want to introduce the audience to you and your background. It's sometimes when I'm sitting in the audience, whether I'm tuned into a show, watching a YouTube video, or I'm at a conference, it just hits harder when I know the background of the person that is teaching, that's speaking. So when we come back from this quick break, we're going to first dive into Shawn's background as a professional, his journey that led him to becoming this published author, this keynote speaker. But quickly, we need to pay a couple bills. So check this out. Y'all, something big is happening at Lower Mortgage. And if you're paying attention to this industry, you've probably noticed. In just the last month alone, Lower has added some serious horsepower. We're talking top producers representing over $350 million in volume. These aren't rookies kicking tires. These are heavy hitters who've done their homework and made the move. That should tell you something. On top of that, Lower just acquired Movoto, a top 5 real estate portal with over 150 visitors just last year. Before that, they brought in Neat Labs, and now they're launching Lower OS, a next-gen mortgage platform that's cutting loan delivery times down to 10 days. This isn't a company standing still. Lower doubled their volume last year, and they're projecting another 40 to 50% growth this year. The best in the business are taking notice, and they're voting with their feet. Here's the reality. The companies that are going to win in this market are the ones investing in technology, building real infrastructure, and competing at scale. Lower is doing all of that. They're going head to head with the Rockets of the world, and they're built for originators, not against them. If you're a producer who wants to be a part of something that's actually going somewhere, not just surviving, but growing, this is the moment. Lower Mortgage, the momentum is real. All right, and we're back. Shawn, help me out. So, I mean, your first career was it military, or was your first career mortgage?
So I did get commissioned in college for ROTC, and I had a short military obligation out of college, about 6 months, went through infantry officer basic course, and then I went right into the mortgage business.
So you're early 20s.
25.
You're 25 years old.
I was a late bloomer.
I was going to say 25 graduating college. How many degrees did you get, or how many parties did you attend?
Well, I wanted to be in college forever. My girlfriend, wife now, she's like, honey, you need to graduate or I'm going to move on. So I would have been in college 10 years, but I did a gap year before college. I went out to Arizona and ran a taekwondo school for a friend of mine. And so I had a gap year, which was a growing up year.
Yes.
It's a great experience. So that's why 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
So graduate college, first job is in the mortgage industry. So that would have been, what, 94-ish? 93?
92.
1992.
Yep.
What was the mortgage market like in 92?
It was improving. Rates, when I started in September, I think a month or two after that, rates dropped into the 7s, just to give you perspective. It had been in the 8s and before that much higher. So there was a little refi boom. I got a couple of leads, 90-day draw, $1,500 a month for 90 days, and I was on 50 basis points after that. So it was all in. And I just remember I would talk to anybody and everybody about mortgage.
You know what's crazy about that is the kids these days, and God, am I a boomer when I say that, but the kids these days don't understand that we were pumping $100,000 loans, 10, 20 of them a month at 50 basis points.
Right.
And when I try to warn them, give them a heads up that this market and this industry is leading them towards a moment in time where 50 basis points may be the starting comp for most originators that look at me like I have 5 heads. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, y'all, 50 basis points when your average loan size is 400,000, especially living in a world where technology is going to do a lot of the technical work and the basic advisory work. I'm like, that's normal. It's full circle moment. So yeah, 1992, you're pumping out some refis because people have rates that are 10 down to 7.5, and you're making 50 basis points doing so. So that means you would have, and I'm going to do my history here because in 92, I was in middle school. If I go to 95, I was a sophomore. We were winning our state championship that year in baseball. 95, what was the market like?
It was even worse.
It was worse.
Because then rates went back up.
Okay.
And so it was all a purchase market, which I was fortunate. I started at a very good company. It was an independent mortgage bank.
Okay.
Back in the day, had their own warehouse line. They had post-closing. They had their own lock desk. And I had a great foundation, but I had to basically generate all my own business. And so when rates went up, and I was also immature at the time, I bailed and I went to a builder lender. So, which I could also originate outside, but I was getting business from that builder.
Did you bail or did you pivot?
Okay, we'll call it a pivot. I like, a pivot.
Yeah, because you're young, you're trying to find your way in the industry. You got in during a little bit of a mini refi boom. When the refis dried up, you started saying, well, who has the business? And you're like, well, these builders still have people who want to buy homes that they're building and they need mortgages. So I don't know. I think you're being hard on yourself if you say you bailed. I'd say you pivoted.
Yeah, I did have some realtor, and at 25, 26 years old, I looked really young. And so I remember going out and calling on realtors. It was really hard.
Yeah.
They looked at me like, Shawn, we like you, but, we can't refer anybody to you. You look like you're 15 years old.
Yeah.
Which that was tough. So working for the builder, that gave me some credibility, and I had an account. I had a couple of developments, and that gave me more experience. And then I think it was 2005, I met the GOAT. Todd Duncan flew into town.
Okay, there we go. Shout out to Todd Duncan.
Shout out to Todd. It was
they have Momentum Builder Live is kind of morphed out of Sales Mastery. Last year it was like a combo. It was Momentum Builder with Sales Mastery. I think this year it's just going to be Momentum Builder, but it's a lot of Todd's legacy still kind of carrying through. After we do our big T-Lop Cruise event, that's our next big event that we're helping Don and Gino and that whole entire crew, in Dallas in October. But yeah, so the GOAT comes rolling in. I call him the Todd Father. Right? He's the Todd Father of mortgage.
Very appropriate.
Yeah. So
I'll never forget him on stage. Like he had his entire script memorized, and it was so. He taught us how to sell the high trust interview.
Yes.
And not just, bring rate sheets and donuts into the office. I was like, blew my mind because my previous managers told me rate sheets and donuts.
Yes.
That's how you win realtors over and become friends with them. And also I did learn very early on that my client was the realtor. I had a fiduciary responsibility to the customer, but my client was always make the realtor look good. So from day one, I always loved working with realtors because I always knew that and understood that.
Realtors are your clients, borrowers are your customers.
And that was before databases. Now we might say with the database that our clients are our clients, but we didn't have databases back then. So that was my source. But then Todd showed us how to go out and to build high trust relationships with realtors.
So he rolled into the Twin Cities?
He did. I think an MI company brought him in, and I just remember he had a workbook, and I'm going filling this stuff out, and I bought his mastery course, and my buddy Troy Klein, we shared an office together. We went through it together, and 2 years later, I'm doing 180 units a year.
Wow.
At a $100,000 loan size, though.
Yeah, just like that. What were you doing prior? Do you remember?
It was I probably about 5 to 6 loans a month is where I was prior to that.
Yeah. You were a solid professional, doing your 5 to 6 loans a month, but it was 05 being introduced to a mentor, a coach, a consultant, and then obviously not just buying what they were selling, but doing what they were teaching to do.
I did it, the military, that was the discipline. I'd get up early and I'd go into the office. I think I'd get in at 6 and I'd do his day 1 and day 2. And I actually did the unique value proposition and the scripts, and I memorized them, and then I did the high trust interview, and it worked. You go out and you talk to these realtors and you get them to an emotional level, like what's really important to you, and you connect at that level, and next thing you know, like I'm their choice, whether I look young or not. So that was brilliant. That really helped me in my career.
So fast forward to today. I mean, today you're not originating, right? You're a sales leader for Wintrust Mortgage, right? Owned by Wintrust Bank.
Correct.
Right? Same people I see when I watch the Cubs games.
Wintrust Financial.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but that same company that when I'm watching the Cubbies.
That's it.
That is Wintrust. Yep. That is the Wintrust. What does your day-to-day operation look like today? Like as a sales leader, how did your career go from top producer in 05, right? If you're doing 188 units, you're top producer. You're probably in the Scotsman Guide, or back then I think they called it Mortgage Originator Magazine Mom. You're on the mom list.
Yep.
To when I fast forward 20 years, now you're assisting, leading, managing others to follow in your footsteps. What are we missing about your journey, about your story that's important for the audience to know, especially as we dive into Reimagining Balance, your brand new book, or even what you're looking to do traveling the country as a keynote speaker?
Well, there was a pivotal point where a friend of mine, Lynn Rogers, hi Lynn, she invited me out to one of the core events in, I think it was San Diego in May of 2004. And before that, I didn't have a way to scale business. I knew how to go out and get the business, but I didn't know how to scale it. And the core is what taught me how to scale remember their flow chart, marketing, operations, and finance, and the business plan, and the lead tracker, and the theme base, all the stuff that, they taught me how to scale the business. And I didn't go through, and I graduated, although I'd say I was probably in the bottom half of the class because there were 7 income, a lot of big dogs in the core back then.
And graduating, I mean, you did level 3 for 2 years.
I paid the money.
You did that commitment.
Yep.
You let them call you fat and ugly and stupid and make you cry, and you put in the work and you got the paycheck to prove it.
I got the paycheck. But more importantly, and I told Rick at the time, I said, I'm not doing this to be a top producer. I'm doing this because I want to go into leadership with my military background. I want to help other originators. I want to help them go to the next level. I can help a borrower every 5 or 7 years, but I can help a loan officer every day.
Yeah.
And that was my deciding factor to go into leadership. And that's when I made that pivot from being a contributor to a single contributor to being a leader, and then eventually a leader of leaders.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I look at what I'm doing in the fourth quarter of my career, and I've said something very similar to what you said. It's like, look, I know there's several ways that I can still continue to earn millions of dollars in this industry, right? I can do $60 million in personal production and run a $150 million branch. I'll make $1 million. I can go and run $1 billion division like I did my last few years at Waterstone, and I can make $1 million, right? But when I look at that, how many lives am I impacting? I mean, I think I can make $1 million coaching and consulting, continue to create my content, but I think by doing this, I impact more lives, right? Just like you said to Rick about you wanting to leverage your military experience and leadership, I look at, well, I can't do the personal production, run the branch, and have the division while doing the coaching, consulting, and the content. I tried it. And I have to focus on my one thing and let my one thing be my one thing. And you learn that when you read books like Good to Great. But I wholeheartedly agree with you that I can impact more borrowers' lives, more realtors' lives by investing in the future of mortgage lending, right? if I can help this girl become a better branch manager and a better leader to those 5 LOs, I can help those 5 LOs be better consultants and advisors and honestly teach them how, on a sales and marketing standpoint, how to go serve their community better, how to generate more referrals, how to basically impact more lives, then my teaching and my influence has a much wider net, and it grabs more people, more humans are served through that than if it were just me trying to crank out 200 units.
Yeah, when I hope the readers appreciate this when we hear you talk like that. There's such passion in your voice. This is why you're successful at what you're doing. This is why you're an amazing coach, and why you're building, why you filled the boat up like that alone. Like, that's impressive what you just did with this cruise.
With the Unite cruise.
I was listening stoked. A month or two ago. I'm like, I hope you crushed it. Like, it's the passion, and you have a purpose. Yeah. And so that's part of the book. Is the end result of balance is we all need a purpose, but we have such blurry vision in our lives. We don't even know. We have no clarity, and we're just in survival mode trying to, but you must have a great support system at home, your wife, your kids. Like, you must have something in your community that has allowed you to have this purpose come into focus, because what I heard, all I heard there was purpose and passion. And that's why you're amazing at what you do.
Well, thank you for that, Mingus. And yes, it may have taken a couple rounds in marriage counseling to figure this one out, because I wasn't smart enough to recognize what was right in front of my face. You talk about blind spots, right? Like in your book, and what you're trying to help people with balance is because we all have blind spots. One of my blind spots was not being able to recognize that I was able to do the things that I was able to do because I had a partner at home holding it down, like lockdown. Like, if this was football, she's a lockdown corner that you don't even throw to that side of the field. And I was oblivious to it, especially during my 30s. Yeah. Right? Especially at that stage in my career where I was build, grow. So, when we talk about balance, there was a certain aspect that allowed me to stay in balance because I had that, using football analogy because we're right around the corner for football season. We had that lockdown corner, right? That was whether it was Deion Sanders, Emmanuel, who's it? Asante Samuels, right? Like, some of those lockdown corners. Yeah, I had one of those. So you meet Todd, you get introduced to Rick, you do the 188 units, but I'm still stuck in the 20 aughts with you. I'm 2005, I'm 2006. How'd you survive 08? What was that like for you?
So I was at Countrywide at the time, and that was, the first year was amazing. They had a P&L down to the branch level. They paid 12 bips. I mean, they had the best products, Ninja products, fast and easy. Our ops team, everybody worked together. It was this great culture, and then it all came to an end, and Bank of America bought them, and then the rest is history. And I remember, I was somewhat embarrassed to say I worked at Countrywide. I just went out and bought 400 koozies with my name and Countrywide on them. I handed out to all my neighbors, and then within a week or two, we were front page of the paper. We're the reason for the housing collapse. It was the Countrywide debacle, and I was a little embarrassed. And then U.S. Bank came along. Amazing reputation. Top 10 lender at the time, eventually top 5.
Yep.
Minnesota-based, corporate headquarters.
Yeah.
I get a job with the regional there, who is best friends with the CEO, Dan Aragoni. And now I feel this great sense of community. I'm at corporate now. I always worked for these companies where they were West Coast or East Coast or Texas, corporate headquarters in Minnesota. And I found this home I stayed at for 16 years. It was amazing.
Okay. And is that where you really, I guess, earned your stripes as a leader, was over those 16
Undoubtedly,
years?
But I invested in myself outside of, like, we're all responsible for our own self-development. I spent a lot of money still through coaching and organizations. But for 5 years, from 2010 to 2015, I was the keynote speaker, trainer, and coach to every new hire that came through, every loan officer hire that came through, because I was at corporate.
Yeah.
And in 2010, Jennifer Hughes asked me, she's like, I've seen your business plan. I think you're passionate. Why don't you be our presenter for 2 hours on Friday? And eventually they gave me 3 hours. And so I presented to 600 people a year. Over the course of 5 years, 3,000 people. I brought this balance framework to them.
Okay.
And I got all this feedback. And 5-10 years later, people would come up to me at these leadership retreats like, Mingus, I remember you. I was in class 2012. I remember, like, and they just, you need to write a book. And for years, they kept telling me to write it. Well, that gets into why I wrote the book. But I had the 3-hour segment. I started with the balance framework. I went into the business plan, lead tracker, and then I went into the kind of the theme-based selling, and it blew these people away. And Rick Ruby said it from day one. Go out and share these ideas, because guess what? Most people
won't do it.
They won't do it.
Most people won't do it.
And that's where they need you.
Yep. So I love knowing this about you, because this is where you and I are so parallel. You think I ever wanted a coaching company? It wasn't on my vision board. It wasn't on like my life prospectus. But I would have clients back in the day and customers back in the day that would say, "Oh, I wish you had that recorded. Do you have a video? I want to be able to play that for my spouse. I want to be able to play that for my colleague or my business partner." And I was like, "No, I don't. No, I don't." Then I started having LOs that would come in my office, because I think I'm 9 producing branch managers. We have 60 loan originators, and 25 of them were in the actual branch with me. So it was very common for someone to want to walk in my office and just script and role play. Well, kind of like you wind guys like us up and let us go.
Yeah.
Well, they would wind me up with a question or a scenario, and all of a sudden, all I got was "Hey, pump the brakes. You mind if I record you?" That was my big aha moment. I'm like, wait a minute. Realtors are asking to record me. Borrowers are asking to record me. My own LOs are asking to record me. Maybe we should find a way to start documenting all of this.
Yeah.
And then hence we got the Loan Officer podcast, and we got the TLOP YouTube channel, and now we have TLOP's Originator Coaching. You were a student, you were a practitioner, and you were bringing this balanced framework to 600 loan originators over a 16-year career, or 3,000, I should say, over a 16-year career, and they were telling you, "Hey, Mingus, write a book. Hey, Mingus, we want more of you." So when people want to say, "Oh, Shawn Mingus is in book. He's, I never heard of him a year ago. Now he's everywhere. He's an overnight sensation." You're going to be like, "Nah, homie, overnight? Like, you're talking about 58 years later overnight?" Like, yeah, not an overnight sensation. In the book, and I'm not going to give this away because I do want to get into the book right now, but you tell a story about, you thought 1999, you were like 1 or 2 days away from being the next .com self-made millionaire, and had the rug pulled from underneath you. I don't want to give away that story, but what I do want to point out is, dude, you had a product that is very similar from a community aspect to what we're building right now at TLOP's Originator Coaching. Like, what a full circle moment. But here you are in 99, without giving away, because I want people to go read the book. Like, you mind touching on that for us? Like what transpired? And better yet, it's more about the lesson you pulled.
Yeah.
Like, how does that lesson fit into the book today, and how did that lesson shape who you are? Because it wasn't a fun time for you.
I got my MBA in life.
Okay.
And that's what I say. I got my MBA in life. And yes, I was doing it for the money. I wanted to make $20 million, and I was not apologetic. And I asked friends and family to write checks for 5, 10, 15, one case 50,000. And then we had other investors writing checks.
Yeah,
and
you raised over $1 million for this concept, this idea.
Correct. Plus we had about another 400,000 or 500,000 in warrants out with our top accounting firm, top law firm. I mean, you name it. Like, they were standing in line because there was FOMO going on at the time.
Yeah.
These large accounting firms, I mean, the venture capitalists, they were trying to get the next great idea. But it was a book I read, Michael Dertuzzo, I think, MIT professor, that talked about the internet. He was one of the creators of the internet. Going back, you can check
fact check
that.
Yeah.
But it inspired me. And he talked about the internet is not what we think. It's going to be a community. This is before like AOL. He wrote this book early on in the 90s, and I read it, I think, around 97. And I'm like, I want to create a mortgage company that is community-based, and I want to create a digital mortgage company where documents are scanned and underwriters are underwriting 10 files a day because everything's digital. And so I wrote a business plan. Well, I went out to get mortgage.com, and it was taken like 2 months before I got the domain. It later sold for millions of dollars.
I'm sure.
So I'm like, okay, I got to pivot. So I created this concept of like an AOL for mortgage loan officers, that they could log in and get real-time mortgage information. They could get marketing information. They could get mortgage-backed securities. But here's what ended up happening. We raised the money. We went out. Then the dot-com bubble burst in March of 2000, which is when we were going after the $10 million round to really cement us. Here's what I learned about purpose. I felt that was my purpose, and I had a vision so strong that $20 million was the primary driver. I wanted to help people, but being honest, it was really more about taking care of my family and myself. Yeah. And what I've learned about purpose is purpose has to be for other people. So when purpose can't be for ourselves, that's where we get meaning is important to us. How does it mean to me? And that's hugely important if you go back and read Viktor Frankl, one of the top 10 most influential books, Man's Search for Meaning. Meaning is very important to us. But purpose is where we impact externally, we help other people. And I ultimately just wanted to make $20 million. So when times got tough and the funding dried up, I went into, and I was out of balance. I had $20,000 in the bank. I was all of a sudden I'm living on credit cards. I didn't have a big savings. You know, my wife's, but my life was out of balance, and I let it crumble. And so the lesson I learned is purpose has to be about other people. And when we serve other people, when we lift them up and improve their lives, that's when we become unstoppable. And that's the second lesson in the book that I won't get into. But that's where I was unstoppable and was successful in a mission.
Yeah, but looking back, the year is 1999. So think about this for the old heads, right, that have been in the mortgage industry longer than Shawn, longer than me, or maybe as long as both of us. And we look around where we are today, right? Like you had a community that you were building in 1999 on the internet specifically for mortgage professionals to come and network, mastermind, get their real-time bond quotes. Today we're always talking about Barry Habib and MBS Highway, but I don't know if MBS Highway was around in 1999. There's probably one guy out of Texas back then that you could spend $1,000 a month and get some real-time bond quotes. But I'm sure you're going to offer some marketing support. You're probably going to offer some coaching support through this platform.
That's exactly right.
You were right there, and I think and Malcolm Gladwell talks about this in Outliers. Just timing worked against you.
Timing, yeah.
Timing.
Harvard's done the studies too. It's even more than leadership and funding, and it is timing.
Yeah, the idea was there.
Yeah.
And proof of concept later came, right? Because we see where Barry is today, or to use an old name, I think he's retired now, but to see what Tim Brahim was able to do with Loan Toolbox, those guys showed a younger guy like me. I think I'm easily 20 years younger than Tim. Probably 10 or 15 younger than Barry. They both were influential in my career, probably your career as well.
Yeah.
But looking at the future of mortgage lending and trying to shape it, I looked at what they did and said, that is proof of concept. Like the same concept you had in 99, which is community. We need to create a community where people can come and belong, share ideas, cheer each other along, offer some friendly competition, but be peer-led, peer-instructed without also like breaking the bank. Like I don't think your product was $1,000 a month product that you were trying to.
No, $30.
It was $30 a month in 1999. You're talking about probably $100 with inflation today. And in a way, it kind of sucks that you swung and missed. But if you didn't swing and miss, we probably wouldn't know the Mingus that we know today. This book might not even exist.
That's very true.
Yep. So it's The story's even cooler than that. We paraphrased it. You're going to have to read the book. By the way, if people want to get a hold of the book, where
Amazon, Reimagining Balance, Amazon.
Yep. Reimagining Balance on Amazon. And it's a good read. It's an easy read, but I'm going to tell you this from firsthand experience. If you are not ready, don't read it. Buy it. Buy it for you. Buy it for a loved one. But have it sitting there staring at you until you're ready. Because this book's going to make you think. It's going to make you work. Mentally, you're going to have to work, and physically, you may have to write some things down. But what I love about it is that it's written by one of us for all of us. So, you're not getting a language that doesn't make sense. You're not getting stories that don't resonate. Like these are real world stories from someone that you can relate to, but bringing you philosophies and principles that may make you feel uncomfortable, but it's also going to make you better when you do so. So that's my plug.
Yeah,
I'd even ask Shawn that's my plug.
I can't do it any better.
But let's give them a little bit of the book.
Yeah.
Like let's give them some bits and pieces. And I want to start with this question. When someone reads the book, first, why would someone want to read it? And then second, what is your intended result when someone reads the book? Like what's next? What's their tie down? What's their takeaway?
Loan officers, if 2026 is going to be your breakout year, this matters. Most originators don't struggle because of rates. They struggle because they don't have systems, structure, or accountability. I'm Coach Christy with TLAP's Originator Coaching. Originator Launch is a 16-week small group coaching program designed to help you build a real business, not just close the next loan. You'll get weekly live coaching, proven scripts used by top producers, real accountability, homework that actually moves the needle, and 2 private one-on-one calls with your coach. This program is capped at just 10 originators, so the attention is personal and the results are real. This isn't a course you watch. It's coaching you execute. If you're ready to stop guessing and start building with intention, apply now. Spots are limited, and once they're gone, enrollment closes. Register today.
Yeah, you'd want to read the book if you're interested in growth. I believe this framework is a foundation for growth. It's like, think about the gym as the best example, where somebody gets really motivated to go work out and they start working out and they work out too much too soon and they get burned out because they didn't have a framework or a trainer or they didn't have feedback. You hear somebody hasn't worked out for 5 years and they're in the gym for an hour, hour and a half. Well, my first recommendation is don't work out more than 20 minutes for the first month.
Yeah.
You want, after a month, at 20 minutes, you want more. Kind of like that dessert where you want one more bite versus having a bunch of dessert left on your plate. Maybe nobody else can relate to that, but you want to not go all into something too much and burn out. This is really it will provide you a framework that will prevent you from burning out. That's what everybody deals with. And so if you want to grow in life and you want to be able to sustain that growth, this is a framework that will help in any area, whether it's marriage, whether it's yourself, your physical, your mind, whether it's your friends and family, your finances, your profession, having fun. That's something that I talked about. I did a post about that recently and got a lot of good feedback on that we have to plan fun. I'm not, for me, fun is different than other people, but I have to kind of plan it in my life with my wife, like a date night or a, overnight weekend. Like, we have to plan that stuff because next thing you know, you go 3-4 months, like, honey, we haven't gone anywhere. So using this as a framework for growth so that we don't burn out. Because what happens, like you and I are probably wired the same way, when we go after something, we get after it.
Yes.
And when we go after something like this,
blinders on,
and then we have what's called blind spots behind us, this shadow, like all in on the profession, go, got to make money, got to figure this out. And we leave all this stuff behind us that ends up coming back later. And it's overwhelm or burnout is a result of unmanaged pressure. So think about that. If we don't manage pressure, it becomes so big it blows up like steam. It explodes. This is a way that we can manage pressure before it gets to a point of crisis. So that's why you'd want to read the book. If you want to grow and you want to sustain something, whatever it is in your life, if you want to grow and sustain it, this is a framework that will help you get there. So that's the why.
So in the book, you talk about there's 8. I call them pillars. You don't call them pillars.
Dimensions.
Dimensions.
Yep.
Yep. There's 8 dimensions. What are the 8 dimensions? We don't need explanations, but what are the 8?
Spirituality,
okay.
Self, romance, friends and family, fun, profession. That's only one of them. Finances and innovation.
Innovation.
I added that the last 3 years because innovation it's innovating our physical and digital environments to be conducive for the life that we want to live.
Are you're asking me, you're asking the audience to be more innovative?
We have to be.
To be creative.
Even if it's designing your house differently so that it's more comfortable, or your office. I remember during COVID, I found myself in the basement curled up, when we all went home. I'm in the basement, like in a corner, like with an uncomfortable desk. My hamstrings are getting tight. I'm like, I went up and I created an office, a stand-up desk, and I got lights and I got multiple monitors and I've got a view out my backyard. Like, I innovated my environment so that it was more conducive. That's just an example. My mom, I love this story. My mom at 84 years old had a flip phone, gave up her flip phone and got a smartphone so she could text her grandkids.
Was that during COVID?
It was 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
2020.
Yeah, but
she gave up her flip phone.
That's just your example of someone being innovative.
Innovative. Like, she innovated at 84, where most people say, I've always done it this way and I can't learn new things. My mom at 84 innovated this device so she could text pictures to her grandkids and see what was going on in their lives.
Yeah.
That's innovation. So think about innovation as it's an area of life that's really important so that we are not falling behind, and then we have unmanaged pressure, and then that's overwhelm.
What's your take on this? Balance versus harmony.
So I get where, and this is where I'm going to sound a little counter. And look, I mean, nobody knows Shawn Mingus. There's a lot of great speakers out there and thought leaders like Ed Milet and the one and only Renee Rodriguez, who I've trained with, brilliant minds.
Friend of the show, friend of mine, yes.
Yeah, I trained with him back in 2005. He's amazing. And even I've even heard you say harmony. So here's the deal, and I can geek out on this stuff. Harmony is the result of balance. So balance is about stability, and harmony is about fitting things together. Harmony is a result of balancing. Like you think about if you've got instruments playing and notes and all, if you don't balance all that out, it's not going to be harmonious.
Correct.
So harmony is what you see and hear. Balance is the governing principle behind sustainability. And I've studied nature. The Amazon rainforest has been around 55 million years. You know the reason why?
I'm a guess. Balance.
Balance is the governing principle why the Amazon rainforest. And it's not because all the plants and animals and fungi and water and insects are all equal. It's not about equality. It's they all work together and results in harmony. You know, if you look at it from 30,000 feet, the Amazon rainforest looks very harmonious. It's beautiful. But you get down on the ground, digging in the dirt, animals killing each other to fight for, it's not so harmonious on the ground. But that is all part of balance, is how these, I'll say this, balance is about relationship too. That's an important factor, that balance is not this static either or, work versus life, duty versus desire. It is a relationship between the two, and actually 8, not 2, 8.
So in my words, harmony is how the sausage tastes. Balance is how the sausage is made. And there's many times we hear the saying, oh, you're like, no one wants to see how the sausage is made, or they'll say, I would love to see how the sausage is made. Most of us just want the taste, which is the harmony. And you're like, you can't get harmony unless you have balance. So let's take you back to the structural roots of balance, and let's actually ask you to work on your balance. No different than when you're on that balance ball and you're doing your kata, which is forms for those that do martial arts. And you're like, yes, if you want to be a world champion or you want to compete at the highest level, it's not just about you being able to be balanced on a steady concrete floor. You're saying you have to do it one step further. It's how do I do these same moves on a object that is built to be unstable, at which point you can show me how to do that through your book in my life. You're not going to teach me how to do some kind of a roundhouse kick with one leg in the air, one leg planted, right? But you can help me get there, metaphorically speaking, through your book, through your teachings, in my life, where I can be balanced. But if I'm chasing harmony, harmony only comes after balance.
And I get where everybody's going with harmony, because it's a state of harmony is more about integration.
Yes.
And that term is even used, like we want to integrate work and life, but not everybody wants to integrate work and life. You know, people at 5 o'clock, they want to go home, they want to forget about it. And also...
And is that okay in your experience?
It depends on their career.
Possible?
It depends on their career. I mean, if they're working in a manufacturing job. But here's the deal with work-life. So balance isn't the issue. This is what I wanted to bring up. Work-life balance came from the HR and organizational experts in the 70s, from the burnout culture. And in the 80s and 90s, that started getting put in HR documents. Like everybody they created this idea of work-life balance. So it came out of the burnout culture from the 70s, if you look back and study. It's the work-life that's the problem, not the word balance, because work-life creates what's called a dualistic fallacy. It's a false dilemma where anytime you're given 2 choices, that is oversimplifying life. There's always more than 2 choices in life. There's always a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, and if you really look at it, there's probably 10 more that we didn't even think about, if you really analyze it. So just distilling life down to work, that's where the fallacy is.
Okay.
Balance isn't the problem. It's the work-life that's the problem, and that's what I want to hit home, is that don't simplify your life down to work and life. Where does spirituality come into that? Where does self come into that? Where does romance? And I don't call it marriage, I call it romance. We know what romance is. That's different than love. I mean, it's part of it, but romance is, romance is romance. And I talk very vividly about how I met my wife, and, and how we went through a romantic period, and how we try to keep romance in our marriage today, 33 years later. So that's the message is work-life is the problem. So it's life balance. And it's something we design and we have to intentionally do. And where it starts is awareness. Balance doesn't come from grit. It comes from awareness.
Say that again.
Balance comes from awareness, not grit. We don't get balance by working hard. And this should relieve people like, Mingus has given me something else to work on.
Yeah.
No, this is about creating clarity in our life. Clarity reduces ambiguity, which then our vision opens up and we start to see what's possible. Because it was already there. So back to Viktor Frankl, he talked about meaning as perceiving something that's very meaningful in our life that was always there, but it just came into focus through a process he created. It's called his psychology, his theory of psychology. And purpose is the same way, and balance is the same way, that there are things in us that we don't even know are there because our life is so blurry and we're in survival mode. Once we slow all that down and get rid of that noise, we can start to see with clear vision, just like I could on that BOSU ball. The better my balance got, I went from having to look down at the ground at one spot to get balance to eventually, when I mastered the BOSU, I could look up and look around and people are staring at me. Why is he, my vision was clear as I gained more strength and more balance.
I love this in the book. You talk about balance being a verb. Or earlier in the show, you said, balance can be a noun and balance can be a verb. But I want you to expound a little bit on, what do you mean by balance as a verb?
It's an action that, think about it like, you probably with your students, you have 90-day planning cycles and they execute, and then every 90 days you review. I don't know if that's how you guys do your coaching, but that's how my most recent coaching organization I was part of called Warrior Week out of California. We would set targets every 90 days, come back and review it. How did we do? And then we would set new 90-day targets. It's what the Marine Corps did. They've been around 250 years.
They call it the 12-week year. Right. It's like, you do business planning in 12-week chunks. When we're studying EOS right now, EOS calls them rocks, right? And when you're following the entrepreneurial operating system and you're running an organization, then yes, a best practice is 100% to break things up into 12-week chunks. We do that with our elite coaching students.
Perfect. Yeah. So if the Marine Corps does it, they know what they're doing.
Yes.
You love the Marine Corps. So it's an iterative process of identifying. So when we can see our life that's in a visual format, that's what the Polygon is. We look at our life through an analysis and we go, okay, here's my life. Here's where I'm out of balance. Here's my targets for the next 90 days to bring more balance into these areas. Then we come back and evaluate how we did visually, and then we reset targets. So it's a verb. It's a constant action, and it's an intentional awareness of where we're out of balance. But we need feedback to do that. That's what the Polygon provides. It provides a feedback tool. So we go. Because I remember the first time I did it with Rick Ruby in 2004, he had a different framework. But I remember I looked at it and like, seeing it was one thing versus just thinking about it. Putting it on paper brought it to life. And I'm like, I need to do this in my marriage. I need to do this at work. I immediately knew what I needed to do.
Do you try to do it all at once, or do you pick one focal point and you work that into habit, and once it's become habit, you move on to your second focal point?
So there's a process through exercise 3 that I have people prioritize the areas of their life that are most crucial.
Okay.
So all 8 areas, I want to be clear, all 8 areas are equally important. Our spirituality, our self, romance, these are all, not one is more important than the other, to keep that simple. But there are seasons of life that maybe profession is more important. So that urgency factor means we need to focus on that. So if everything's important and everything's urgent,
then nothing's important and nothing is urgent.
So this process will help you identify where you're out of balance, where you have your most urgent needs. And I recommend no more than 3 areas of life are urgent, that you identify the 3 most urgent areas, and that'll show up in your card, and then it'll show up in your image, and then you know exactly what to do and what to focus on. It makes it very simple. Even though I'm talking through this, it is a very simple process.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And I look forward to myself going through it. Like I said, I have your book. I opened it, and at first I was like, yeah, it's going to be a nice, quick, easy read. Then I got about a third of the way into it, and I'm like, and you tell us in the book, this is not a skim. If you're going to skim this, put it down and pick it up when you're ready. And I do. I look forward to picking up when I'm ready. More than likely, I'm going to tell you straight up, it's going to be after the T-Lop cruise and after my Ironman.
Yeah.
Right? For me,
that's perfect.
It's like, I know when am I going to be mentally ready to truly tackle some of these things that, I'll be honest, I'm like everyone else. I'm sure I'm out of balance. I'm sure I have my 2 or 3 that I'm going to want to hone in on and use your teachings and all your experiences to make sure that I can end this year on a good note and kick off 2027 on a very positive note. Speaking of 2027, if people want to book you to come speak, I know that's a big desire and passion of yours moving forward. Where should we send people to who reach out? They say, hey, I want more of Mingus. How do I connect with Shawn? What are some of your better contact points? How do you want to be contacted?
Super easy. I was able to get reimaginingbalance.com. I've got the domain name. I have an Instagram account. Everything's under Reimagining
Balance.
Reimagining Balance on Instagram. Shawn Mingus on Facebook, LinkedIn, send me LinkedIn requests. And yeah, that's so, I'm still in a season of growth in the mortgage industry. This is a passion project of mine. I want to do 6 keynotes. Originally, I was going to do 12, and I was talking to somebody in the business. He's like, that's a lot, So I want to do 6 keynotes next year. I think you even mentioned that. You like 6 is a good number for you to get up and do some speaking.
Yeah, mine, my actual number is I'm willing and able to do 16 trips a year.
Oh, okay.
Now, some of those trips are purely for me to be there as a guest, right? So Housing Wire, The Gathering, it was awesome. I wasn't podcasting from the event, not that I would and not that I haven't, but I wasn't. And I wasn't speaking at the event, not that I wouldn't and not that I haven't. It's just that wasn't the year for me to speak or podcast from that event. So I got to go for just me. When I get an opportunity to do like MBA advocacy, that's just for me. MBA annual, usually when I get to go, is a just for me. Mm. But then there's other conferences that no, I'm either being hired by the Oklahoma Mortgage Bankers Association or being hired by a company like Total Mortgage or like a Wintrust to speak at their events. So yes, what I think I shared with you is I'm willing to go on the road 16 times. And not all of those are going to be speaking gigs. But I found for me, when I'm on the road more than 16, I'm out of balance.
Yeah.
It's no longer checking the boxes, making my heart smile, and it becomes work. And I really am at a point in my life and my career where I love to work, but it can't feel like work. It has to feel It has to feel like fun. It has to feel like adventure. It has to feel like putting together a really good jigsaw puzzle or playing a really fun game, right? Like think of your favorite board game that may take 3 days. Like for me as a kid, it was playing Risk with my 2 best friends, Brian and Jeff, and we'd have these 3-day, probably 24 total hour Risk battles. To me, I need to feel like that. And if I'm not feeling that way, then all of a sudden I'm out of balance. So using your word, I'm most balanced when I'm on the road 16 times. But for you, you're like, look, I'm still a senior level sales executive for Wintrust. And I love my job and I love who I get to serve. I would love to speak more, but you're finding that you're going to open yourself up to 6 times to go and keynote for other organizations.
Yeah, whether it's a leadership retreat or a conference. Hey, look, and I want to mention too that the last year I've been working 7 days a week. So imbalance doesn't come from the hours we work or the stress we endure.
Ooh, say that again for the people in the back.
So imbalance, severe imbalance, because we're all out of balance, and that's why looking at the Polygon, it will show you where you have severe imbalance. We all have imbalances, and that's okay as long as we're aware. Aware imbalance is actually a sign of maturity. The last year, writing this book, starting, leading a team at Wintrust, taking care of my family, having a grandbaby, seeing her 4 times a year. I have worked 7 days a week the last year, but I've done it with intention. My wife, my kids, my community, my job, my boss, everybody supports that. And because it's passion, it's purpose, I'm not burned out.
Yeah.
So we're all out of balance. Like you right now training in this TLOP event, and like you are doing it with the intention though. There's a purpose behind it. So, this term work-life balance, bring that up one more time, often is code word for I don't want to work very hard. That's not what I'm teaching.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the younger generation, I feel like they have a warped sense of what work-life balance is. And we have to find a way to put a bow on today's show. And you and I could talk about seasons of life and seasons of career. But, I have the luxury of I get to spend time with UCF's College of Business every semester. And I get in front of these young people. I'm like, look, the season of life that you're in, that balance word, I mean, it's going to be a lot of work, and it should be a lot of work. So that when you have children and when your children are of school age, then it can be less work and more about them. But that's probably here nor there. But I love how you pointed out that you've been in balance the past year, although you have been working 7 days a week.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And again, on Instagram, Reimagining Balance. On the internet, reimaginingbalance.com. He is Shawn, SHAWN, and Mingus is spelled with an I, MINGUS, Mingus. We call him Mingus. You can call him Shawn, or, you can just call him the badass author of Reimagining Balance. Shawn, I like to ask these 2 questions of most guests, and I think it's how I'm going to end today, unless there is something that you feel like we left off that the people should know about the book and about Reimagining Balance.
Okay.
Was there anything that we left off?
No, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
You feel good about it?
Yeah, one thing I left off.
If you're a licensed originator who's closing loans, but you're not consistent, this is for you. If you're brand new or just looking for motivation, trust me, this is not for you. Most LOs don't need more information. They need structure. They need proven processes and somebody to hold them accountable. T-Lob's Originator Coaching gives you weekly live coaching, scripts top producers actually use, and step-by-step business systems you can implement immediately. Not someday, we're talking day one. You're not watching videos alone. You're executing in real time with other originators who take this seriously. Right now, you can try it free for 2 weeks. That's 2 full weeks for free. You'll sit in on live coaching calls. You'll get access to the frameworks and see exactly how top producers run their business. If it creates clarity, if it creates momentum, or even if it puts wins on the board, you keep going. If it doesn't, no worries, you can cancel. No pressure at all. Click the link, start the 2-week trial, and finally, build this like a business, not a side hustle.
A lot of people are like, WTF is a polygon. What's a polygon, Shawn?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so a polygon, we were just talking about this. A polygon is a two-dimensional object that is closed loop, like a triangle is a polygon, a square is a polygon, an octagon is a polygon,
A hexagon is a polygon.
Correct, and in this case, this is an octagon.
Yes.
Which I didn't want to call it an octagon because that's overused, like the octagon, the fighting UFC and stuff. So
Stop signs for octagons.
plus, my next book is going to be a 5-sided polygon, not an 8-sided. So there's another book, Reimagining Purpose, because ultimately balance leads to purpose, and purpose leads to fulfillment. That's the end game here.
I like the series that you're working on here.
Because ultimately, we want to live the most fulfilling life possible. That's why we're not just doing balance for balance to make Shawn happy that, I proved the balance. It's ultimately to live the most fulfilling life. But a polygon is a geometric term for like a stop sign, stuff you see. It's not a circle. It's a 3-dimensional or 2-dimensional, 3 sides or more. So I don't know if that describes it.
I know there's people right now that are
Nerding out on
driving in their
geometry.
car, right? That they have their YouTube on, they're making their breakfast, and they're like, they keep us saying the word polygon. Where's my chat? Where's my Claude? I need to ask Gemini, what's a polygon? But when I think about your book, I think about your teaching and what you stand for. When I look at your polygon in the book is a octagon, which is a stop sign. I believe a stop sign is 8, not 6,
so,
right?
yeah.
But stop signs are perfectly symmetrical. But our lives right now, you may have a stop sign that just got hit by a semi-truck. And you're going to read the book and you're going to go through these exercises. Your goal is to undo the damage of the semi-truck so your polygon looks like a brand new stop sign that was just put in that brand new gated community, that all of the sides are equal and symmetrical.
Can I correct that?
Yes.
We never want to seek, I call that an NPC. Your kids talk about it. Well, you know what an NPC is?
No. What is it?
We got to ask Special K. What's an NPC?
I forgot what it stands for.
Non-player character?
Yeah.
So like in a video
Yes,
game.
yes,
So my kids told me
yes.
this. We don't want to be, and I call it non-productive citizen.
Okay.
The person that has the perfect polygon, they're not stretching. They're just going through life. It's an unscripted life where they're just doing what they're told. They're not doing what you and I are doing. They're not pushing the envelope. They're not pushing themselves, their marriage. So we don't ever want, that's why I've used the polygon. The polygon has a million variations to it. It can be convex, concave. It can be regular and irregular. Now
So
we're getting,
Mingus with the people's elbow off the top rope, right into Dio's forehead. Here I'm thinking, we want to be balanced. We want to have that perfectly symmetrical octagon that looks just like a brand new stop sign. And you're like, nah, homie, you're missing the point.
Yeah.
Like you, if you're doing that, you're not growing, you're not stretching.
It comes up in every class. I just did one 2 weeks ago, and he's like, so is the goal for it to be perfectly like a what's called a regular polygon where all sides, and I go, no, that's not the goal. That means you're not striving in life. Like you want to have some area where you're pushing, and then other areas that kind of go on autopilot.
There's every reason why you need to get the book and read it. And every reason why he tells me I can't skim through this thing, because if I skim through it, I'm going to miss some crucial points, such as the purpose of having a irregular, not what
you want convex.
I
so
want convex.
You don't want
Yes.
sides caving in, like there's this drastic difference between point A and point B. So it goes from here in, and you don't want that. So no,
Yeah.
it comes up in every class. That's the natural thinking that we're never seeking perfection in life.
Perfect. So real quick, one of your favorite book recommendations?
Oh man,
outside of your own.
Good to Great's up there, but I would say Leaders Eat Last. Simon Sinek blew my mind with that book and understanding how the brain works and how we think. How to Win Friends and Influence People was the first book I read. Dale Carnegie, right?
Yep.
First book out of college and taught me how to sell. It's more about you than me. Get to know what you want in life, and if I can help you get there, then I'll get what I want. I mean, that's ultimately those are the top three. But Good to Great, I think you mentioned earlier. That's a great one.
Yeah, I'm reading it right now.
For scaling business. I have not read Atomic Habits, I know, but I get the whole idea of little habits each day over time. Those are all great books.
Y'all, that's all the time that Shawn and I have for today. I highly encourage you, check out the book. Go to Amazon. Again, it's Reimagining Balance. Author, our guest today, Shawn Mingus. The website, reimaginingbalance.com. On Instagram, Reimagining Balance, or you can find Shawn on LinkedIn. That's how he and I originally connected. If you're stopping by and tuning in for the first time because maybe you're friends with Shawn and you dig content like this, I'm going to encourage you, if you're listening on Spotify or listening on Apple, make sure you give us a follow, give us a 5-star review. The 5-star reviews is how we remind other professionals that content like this exists, that it doesn't suck, and it's worth them tuning into. If you haven't done so already and you like to watch podcasts, you can watch Shawn and I do our thing on our YouTube channel. It's at TLOP Entertainment on YouTube, or I tell people just Google The Loan Officer Podcast on YouTube. You'll find our channel, 36,000+ subscribers, 1,000+ videos. I love YouTube personally because it's more than just the podcast. That's where we have other types of content, whether it's Talk Mortgage to Me, Mortgage School, Coach's Corner, etc. Make sure you go there, and when you're there, smash that subscribe button so you can help us go from 36 to 40 and eventually 50,000+ subscribers. And then finally, if you're a mortgage professional and you're interested in joining a coaching community, something similar to what Shawn was trying to build in 1999 that we've been able to build here at TLOP since 2023, go to my website, tloponline.com, and check out all the ways that we can invest in your future success. First and foremost, by becoming a part of our community, which, if you're tuning in right now, we are giving a 14-day free trial to anyone who wants to check out our coaching community. Again, that's tloponline.com. He's Shawn, I'm Dio. That's all the time we have for you today, but we do look forward to catching you on the next episode. Peace.